All right, everybody, I am going to do another YouTube video today, and it's been a little while since I've done a YouTube video. Sorry, my apologies. Haven't been feeling the best, so I was just trying to give everything a little bit of a break. So, what we're going to talk about today are some considerations that you need to think about when it comes to wanting to convert to an S-Corp. And before I do that, there are 4 simple things that I want you to do if you are getting value out of my content. Number 1, like this video. It's easy to do, right? Number 2, share it with your friends. 3, subscribe to my channel. And then lastly, hit the bell so that you get alerted when I release new videos. And like I said, I'm a little behind, but I do try to do 2 or 3 videos a week. So with that being said, there's been a lot of talk. I've seen a lot of influencers and other people just preach about the S-Corp and how great it is. And I'm here to tell you that there are considerations that you have to make as to whether or not it is the right move for you. You do not blindly jump into it because of anything I've said or anything that any other person has said. You need to get with your tax professional and you need to make sure that that is indeed the right call for you because there are considerations. So here are some of the considerations that I think you need to make. And just so you guys know, if you're wanting to know what the heck an S-Corp is, I cover that in a previous video. So if you would watch that first, go back and watch that, and then you can watch this. And so here I'll cover that, like I said, in a separate video. Now, first question is, how profitable is your business? The big reason with the S-Corp is you save on self-employment tax. However, if your business is not profitable, and I would say, kind of ballpark, again, depends on the person. I would say, maybe 50K and up, that's when you can consider it. Again, I think the numbers have to be run and modeled out to make sure that that is truly the right move for you. But I wouldn't, if you're under 50K, I wouldn't consider it. And I would also add, and this leads to the second point, are you consistent with your profits? In other words, do you think that your profits are going to, if they're at 50K, are they going to go up every year or are they going to stay flat and decline? That's the key. If this is like a one-time thing that you're doing and you don't want to be in business for more than a couple years and you're done, then maybe you don't make the move. Maybe you just stay as where you're at. Or, if you do think this is going to be a long-term thing and you enjoy it, maybe then you make that move to an S-Corp. I just think that is not talked about enough, is that you do need to be consistent in profits. Because if you go from 50K to down to 20K, that S-Corp is probably going to cost you more than you realize. The next thing is cost benefit. Now, what I mean by that is you have to, and I'm going to put a little line on here, there are additional costs that you have when you do an S-Corp. The 2 biggest ones are, number 1 is payroll, and number 2, the return. An S-Corp return is not going to be cheap. You're going to probably spend at least $1,000 with a CPA to have that prepared. And it's not something that I would ever recommend you preparing on your own. I know that TurboTax and other things make products for that, but I really would strongly recommend that you consult a CPA to make sure it's done correctly, because there are some forms and schedules and all that you really want to make sure are done correctly. So I recommend paying somebody to do that, but that could cost $1,000 very easily, if not even more. So don't be surprised with that cost there. Also, the payroll. Whether you get a CPA to do it, most don't. Most will have that outsourced to like an ADP or Gusto or some other company, but you're gonna pay them, so much a month to run payroll. And when you're an S-Corp, you have to pay yourself a salary, so you're going to be running some kind of payroll expense. Like, it's going to cost money to figure out all the payroll. And it's not just payroll, it's unemployment returns, it's the payroll reconciliation returns that you have to file with the IRS every quarter. Like, all of that stuff has to be done, and if you're not doing it, you're going to run into a heap of trouble. The IRS is very picky on that stuff, and so you really need to make sure that get yourself a good payroll provider and just pay them money to make sure that those filings are done in a timely fashion. And then lastly, state considerations. You have to consider the state you're operating in. And the reason I say that is you have states like Tennessee and California that have separate returns for those kind of entities. Now, in Tennessee in particular, sorry, I kicked that there, they have a 6.5% excise tax, 6.5% excise tax. And that tax is applied to income that is not subject to self-employment tax. So if you're an S-Corp and you make $100,000 a year and the first 50 you take as wages, the rest is going to be subject to this excise tax, that other 50,000, because you're not paying self-employment tax on it. You're taking that as a distribution. So these are some things that you really need to think about before you decide to take the plunge into an S-Corp, because if you don't, you may end up paying more or getting a lot less tax savings than you thought you were going to get. So hopefully you got a lot of value out of this video. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. Also follow me on Instagram at mdeepcpa, on Twitter at mdeep_CPA, and also follow me on YouTube. And again, if you have questions, DM me, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them when I'm available. So have a great